So we have a tight agenda tonight. I'd like to get out hopefully on time. So let's start with the approval of the March minutes. Any comments or corrections?
Some of the comments are like.
Who is Mark Mayer?
I think he's actually a resident committee member on the housing committee.
Well, he is on our attendance list for the last meeting. Because it's
I don't, she should have been on the guest
It's
list.
in white, she said.
Talk to her,
Isn't it?
ask her to correct that.
It's on the sign.
Oh, I know who he is.
Yeah,
Yeah, he should be yes.
so why don't we ask Mia to correct that? If you have a pen, you can-
Isaiah as well, it seems that I have.
Yeah, if you can ask, let's ask Mia to correct that.
And Slavi, she's also a board member, but not.
Yeah, she should be under guests as well.
Evie as well, and Abigail too. So we've got some attendance corrections.
Yes, we do. Yeah. Well, ask me, what I usually do is I put them under guests, but in parentheses next to their name, it says CB9 number. Thank you for spotting that. And it should also say next to the people's names who are from the developer, who's, the Avery Mall.
Yes, we've got some attendance corrections.
Suki says someone joined us from Zoom.
No, we're just gonna use this so that when we screen share, it shows up properly and people can see it instead of it being backwards and reversed and out of focus.
You can't see
And
it on there.
we're gonna do this regularly for every meeting so that whenever we do have a guest or it's, we have to get permission for this, but ideally if you can participate by Zoom as well.
I was gonna say, I thought there was
Yeah.
an opportunity there. but-
Yeah, I mean, we've discussed this a lot at the board level, but about hybrid meetings, and I certainly don't have an issue with the hybrid meetings, but it's still under discussion. Hello, Esteban.
Hello.
Oh, can you hand me my bottle of water?
Scott?
Is this yours or
Go
mine? So any questions or comments on the minutes?
I have nothing.
Okay, can I get a motion to approve?
Motion approved.
Second?
Second.
Okay, thank you. Can we do consensus vote? Are there any abstentions, any no votes? All in favor? Okay, the motion is approved, the March minutes are approved. Okay, what's next? Okay, so committee updates. Does anyone wanna update us on the various and many things that are going on in our district? You see this, first of all, we're still in, I believe, in the public comment period for the 7399 Empire Boulevard cleanup proposed for the brownfield site contamination. Anybody wanna update us on what's going on there?
I just know comments. I know comments are being submitted. I submitted some, but other than that, I don't know. Just
Anybody else have any updates or comments on things that are going on around the district?
there's one thing about 7399 just to point out. It is a hazardous waste site. The way that I have responded to many hazardous waste from my former career. There are a lot of things that they're doing that is not proper, that is not following rules, environmental rules, laws, and regs, and they have to do a much better job before they even start. They have to put in SWIP, compliance, monitoring, and sampling, which they have not done with the work that they've done already. So it is a big concern, especially all of the debris that is leaving the site, and I see it just about every other day. So they have to do a much better job on that.
Yeah, and it's important for everyone to be aware of this because there are actually a lot of sites that were formerly industrial and would potentially have contaminants.
We have several benzenes, lead, zinc, mercury, which is the worst. What else? A couple of some pHs. And it's a very hazardous and dirty site.
And if you could just say a couple of words about what the brownfield cleanup process is, and because not everybody is aware.
So, from what I know of the brownfield cleanup process, it's a volunteer program that developers enter into with the state in order to clean up a site that is hazardous. Right? It had toxic substance that were there, and under strict guidelines, rules, and regulations, there are ways that you have to manage the soil that's removed from the site. It has to be manifested, taken to a site for proper disposal, and once they manifest it, they are responsible for that debris from cradle to grave forever. It's very expensive. There are a lot of shortcuts that are taken. Many people don't want to get involved with that because it's very expensive. You have to train all your employees with regards to HAZWOPER training in case there's an emergency spill there. And HAZWOPER training also helps them protect the neighborhood, right? Because you have a lot of dust, a lot of snow melt, a lot of rain that goes into the city sewer system. And the biggest thing you want to do is you want to protect the groundwater. Right? And like I said, they've done a very poor job with it this time, from what I can see, based on my experience.
So if it's voluntary, what is mandatory, right? Why are they going through this expensive process?
Oh, there are a lot of tax breaks. There are a lot of initiatives, financial
Okay.
initiatives that come along with the brownfield program, right? Because the state says that, hey, there's this land that you want to work in conjunction with with New York City in order to clean. The state wants to clean up the areas, and they're willing to give you tax incentives to do that. So there is a financial gain for it, but you have to make sure that you follow all of the environmental rules and regs.
And so was the brownfield cleanup something that was requested or suggested by the community, or was this the initiative of the developer?
I'm not too sure on that, Sue, because 9 times out of 10, I'm always on the back end
Right.
of that, so I'm really not on the front end of that, so that I really can't answer.
Okay, thanks so much, Rod. That's
How are these toxins introduced into the area? Do you know?
So what happens, you had a site you had the buildings that were there, okay, and what happens, the buildings, because they have a roofing system and a gutter system, they trap rainwater, right? Bring it into the house sewer and out into the general sewer. That building is gone. When they did their phase 2 sampling on the site, when they grid samplings, they came up hot for all these different toxins. So what happens now, since you don't have that water management system there, that means all the ground that's contaminated, when it rains, it just washes out into the street, into the environment. What they're supposed to put together is known as a stormwater pollution protection plan, right, which basically how you manage stormwater. In some instances, you're supposed to collect it and put it in tankers and then send it out for proper disposal, right? But that's not what's being done there. It's just running all out into the street And also, when vehicles go back and forth, when they track the mud going out, it's supposed to be a decon area where you're supposed to wash the tires and make sure everything is clean before you track that mercury and zinc and benzene out into the environment.
So all those toxins are from the previous building?
They're from the previous building because before it was a manufacturing site, right? So back in the 20s, everything was used. Okay? Everything was buried on site. And now the time where everybody's environmentally conscious, so all that stuff that people buried and dumped in the back and fuel oils that were dumped, now you just can't dump that anymore. Right? And that's what happened up in Model City, right? When they built a whole community on top of a toxic site where a company was just dumping toxins, Monsanto was just dumping toxins.
That's different from Love Canal. You've heard of Love Canal?
It's same.
Yeah, I just would like to make one quick point. Today, there was a FDNY EMT funeral on my block. Young black man died of lymphoma. And this is the type of death that is a result of exposure to these type of chemicals. You have a young man, 35, 45. His life is over because of cancer. And that type of cancer is directly related to this type of exposure. And everybody living at Ebbets Field, all those kids, everybody in that neighborhood is being exposed to these chemicals now. And anytime there's digging, that dust goes up, it's in the air, you're breathing it, it's in the water, they're not properly taking care of it. This is a very personal, because I live near here, so we're gonna see the effects in now 10, 20 years with all these young kids, people. So let's do something about it now while we can.
So another thing sorry, I could be wrong about this, somebody correct me if I am, but I think that the requirement to do the soil sampling and the stormwater protection plan is for all developments, right? It's not just because this one had a rezoning, and it's not just because, of a lawsuit. I think that if it's like more than a certain size development, is that right?
If you disturb more than 20,000 square feet of soil, or if you create more than 5,000 square feet of impervious surface, and if you concrete it,
Right.
then you have to put in a SWIP. If you don't meet those criteria, then you don't have to put in a SWIP.
So that's something for everyone to keep in mind as there's development happening around us.
No, it's fine. I feel like I get the emails about the remediation plan, and every one of them says, based on the findings of the investigation, the New York State Department, DEC, environmental something.
New York State Department of Environmental Conservation.
Thank you. Conservation. With the New York State Department of Housing has determined that the site does not pose a significant threat to public health or the environment. And I feel like I get that notice whenever the reminders about this go out. So it's just helpful to square that circle if I'm getting this email from that it's not a threat to public health.
So I challenge it. I know the state down in Long Island City. A lot of them don't even come out to the site. They base their report based on a report from their contracted environmental consultants. I read the report on that. I read all 866 pages. And there are hot spots that are definitely there. And mercury, you don't need much mercury in order to get sick. All you need is less than a drop. So
Cool, that's helpful to know, thank you.
So the other thing I wanted to update you guys about was 245 Clarkson, which got discussed last night in the housing committee. Go to the folder, see that yellow folder? So 245 Clarkson is being built on a parking lot on Clarkson close to Rogers. It's an R6 non-contextual district. It's quite a large lot. It's 23,500 square feet. And we have a nonprofit developer who's going to put up an 11-story building. It's 60% supportive housing, 40%
This one's okay, which one?
affordable, 245 Clarkson. 40% affordable, Yes. Okay, so that's just sort of the profile there, that's the lot, you can see some of the lots next to it. On the right, you have a bunch of two-story townhouses. On the left, you've got a four-story condo building. At the corner, there's an eight-story condo building, and across the street, you have several six-story rent-stabilized buildings. So, the reason I'm bringing it up here, obviously, I think some of the other issues, like what kind of housing it is and so on, got discussed in the housing committee, but the reason we're bringing it up here is there's potentially some zoning issues, and although they're saying that they're not asking for a rezoning, that they're doing it as of right, I'm not so sure that that's the case. They've filed building permits, and the building permits say, first of all, they're all off. It says it's gonna be mostly community facility and some residential, but when we asked them about it last month, they said, no, that's completely wrong. They haven't changed the building permits. It also says 60% lot coverage. And it's 7,000 square feet of community facility, which does get a bonus. So in this district, right, you can see here, this is the new zoning guide from city planning. That's another thing I wanna make sure you guys are all aware of, that I think I emailed a link to all of the committee members. Since the City of Yes changes, city planning has a new zoning guide on their website, you should check it out, it's quite helpful. So under an R6 non-contextual district, with the qualifying affordable housing, they would be able to go up to a 3.9. The community facility is like, maybe an additional 0.3 or something like that. It's not a lot, right? So that means if they're actually doing 60% lot coverage, it would be more like a 7-story building, not an 11-story building. So the fact that the building is gonna be that big suggests to me that they actually will ask for some sort of zoning change at some point, right? And you can see also that this is, if you go up a little bit, the owner is HSBS Clarkson Housing Development Fund Corporation. And so this was one of the new changes with ballot amendments, that HDFCs would be able to go through an expedited process with the Board of Standards and Appeals to ask for zoning variances. So we don't know how that's going to play out exactly. They are supposed to look at neighborhood character, and so that's another sort of like more zoning related issue is the height of this building. But so I just wanted to quickly go over that.
And remind again how much supportive housing, affordable housing.
So this is a 60% supportive housing building. So I think it's gonna be 81 units of supportive housing and 53 units of regular lottery affordable housing between 60 and 80% of AMI. So the second issue.
So it sounds like 100% income.
It is 100% income restricted housing, right? And that's why I'm saying it's gonna qualify for the affordable housing bonus. And it's may qualify for this expedited BSA procedure. So just to put this on your radar screen that there may be a ULURP issue here. The second issue that I think is worth mentioning, because when we talk about building housing and building affordable housing and what it costs to build housing versus zoning, etc., they did apparently give a breakdown of the cost to build this. The total cost is $117 million, all of which is going to be subsidized with various grants and tax credits and loans mostly from the city, the state, city, and the federal government. And about less than 10% is the cost of the land. About 53% is the cost of the construction, the hard costs, like building things. About 40% is the developer fee and the soft costs, which is the architects, the lawyers, the lobbyists, whatever, random people were involved. And then like maybe another, I don't know, 1.5% is the reserve or the escrow, whatever, in case there's a cost overrun. So that's important to know. It's, you know, obviously it's gonna be almost like $900,000 per unit, and it's a unit that's probably on average one bedroom size. So this process it costs a lot of money. Does every development cost that much? Quite possibly not, right? But this is something important to keep in mind as we think about how these things get done. So that's all I have for now. Anybody else have any updates? Yes, no?
I sat next to someone from the EDC at an event for work today,
Okay.
and they said the Ocean Avenue thing is still going up, so that's still in review.
Okay.
Yeah, the EDC development on Ocean Ave.
Oh, I think that's that.
So it's worth noting, you might have sent this out, Max, but the mayor has a new LIFT task force that's looking at all public land, reviewing all public land, to determine if that can be used for affordable housing. So that brings us right to, I guess, ULURP. Where am I on my? Yeah, so that brings us to our new business, the first item of which is to discuss ULURP. So you remember last month we talked about the rulemaking for the affordable housing fast track, which happened at the city planning commission level. We did send in our testimony. I did testify at the hearing, so we'll see what happens there. This second part, ULURP, is more likely to affect us immediately. So if you could switch back to that one, Teresa. So if you remember on the ballot questions, this was described as being, you know, making it faster to build like modest projects. And this got implemented through the charter, section 197E, which is new, the expedited land use review procedure. And what it means is basically that they're gonna go before the community board, they're gonna, and the borough president, and then the city planning commission, but they're gonna skip the city council. The city council won't have a vote on this. It'll stop with the city planning commission, who, as you know, is majority appointed by the mayor. So what types of land use are eligible for this ULURP procedure? And if you look at the go down a little bit, so if you look at the section I bolded, there's various things, like some are kind of minor,
Me
like,
too.
right, but the major thing that applies to us is basically higher density, non-contextual zoning districts are going to be eligible for this expedited procedure where they can get a market rate upzoning. There's no requirement for affordable housing. So why do I say that? It says, okay, so first of all, if you recently rezoned, it doesn't apply to you, right? So, but in our district, we haven't rezoned most of the district in a long time. So where the district designated at the time of application has a standard maximum residential building height of greater than 45 feet, that's the R6 and above districts, right? R1 through R5 is less than 45 feet. And it's regulated, where the maximum height is regulated by something other than a horizontal plane or has no maximum building height. So that's referring to the sky exposure plane, which is an option in our district because we never got the contextual zoning where you put the letter after the end of the district. So in that case, what can you do? They can increase the maximum residential floor area as long as that is increase does not exceed 30%. But notice it says nothing here about a requirement for affordable housing. So this is obviously kind of in direct conflict with the City of Yes UAP, where they were gonna give 30% and in some cases higher zoning increases, but only if all of that increased floor area was affordable at 60% of AMI. So in this case, if somebody can get their 30% increase in FAR without doing the affordable housing, why would they use UAP? Because UAP is voluntary, right? And then in the R1 through R5 districts, any lot, they can ask for an increase in FAR of up to 2.0 FAR. And in many cases, that's quite significant. For example, in the R5 district, the current maximum is 1.5, so that's a 30% increase. In R4 districts, the current maximum is 1. So you can double the size in an R4 district. In an R2 district, current maximum is 0.5, so you could quadruple the size. And again, no requirement for affordability, no requirement under City of Yes. Only certain lots were eligible for density increases. Lots that were very large, that were on wide streets, that were near transit. None of that applies here. It's literally every lot in the city they can ask for a zoning increase. Okay, so this also applies to the sale, lease, exchange, or other disposition of city-owned property to private owners who are next door, provided that this cannot be independently developed as determined by the mayor, because the size of the lot or the topography, whatever, renders such development economically impracticable or infeasible. Acquisition of the city by the city of real property for the purpose of developing a resiliency project, open space, or solar energy generation project. Okay, go down some more. If it's privately owned, next to city-owned property and can't be independently developed. Okay, so then it talks about the procedure that it has to go through. Department of City Planning shall forward a copy of any application under this section within 5 days to each affected borough president and community board. We're supposed to get a pre-certification notice 30 days ahead, including all of the information. We have to hold a hearing after 60 days after getting the application. We have to notify the public. We get extra time if it comes during the summer. This is similar to ULURP going down. Okay, and the City Planning Commission is still going to conduct a public hearing. And if they disagree with our recommendation, they have to say why. So, however, the exception to this sale or lease of city-owned property is if you're selling it to a local development corporation that's building low-income housing. In that case, it still has to go through the city council. So this is actually quite relevant to the Ocean Avenue site, right? Because we all were asking, why was this site given to the Economic Development Corporation and who was proposing mixed income housing? Why didn't it go to HPD for 100% affordable housing? If it had gone that to an HDFC, it would have had to go through a ULURP process essentially and go through the city council. But the way they did it, it could be up to the mayor to just say and I'm giving it to the guy next door because this is a tough site to build on, and we're going to build mixed income housing or whatever suits him. So, keep going down. So, go up all the way to the top. Okay, so
This is page?
yeah, no, go up all the way to the top. Okay, so the city planning commission still has to make rules about this, right? Okay, so I go down a little bit. Okay, so in any case, the city planning commission is still gonna make rules, respecting like safeguards, minimum standards, et cetera, et cetera. So this is the opportunity to say what kind of standards you want, and we discussed this, you know, when city planning came, what kind of standards you want them to apply if they're deciding who's getting upzonings and, you know, this and that. And there should be standards, it should be announced ahead of time, it shouldn't be arbitrary, right? Because arbitrary is basically corruption, you know? If we think that there has to be a requirement for affordable housing to get an upzoning, that's very important that we say that and that we recommend that. So I don't know if we're prepared to do the recommendation now. City planning hasn't said when they're going to conduct the hearings on this, but I would definitely be prepared to do this by the next meeting. So anybody have any thing they wanna?
Just a quick reaction.
Yes.
There's also the affordable housing fast track as part of the ballot proposals, which
Yes.
is singularly and exclusively focused on affordable housing. My understanding about this is that it was to speed up maybe smaller scale, medium sized housing projects, or infrastructure projects that would have typically had to go through a longer ULURP process. So I'm not surprised to see actually that there are some types of development that would be permissible above and beyond what's in City of Yes, because I think that was the intended impact for this
To have more market rate housing.
Right. In general, I think it really matters what's going to be in those rules. And, when we see the full language of how this will be applied and that public comment period is out, I agree. Everyone should pay attention to that. But right now, we don't have enough other than to say what we have seems to line up with the intended impact of what this was, in my view.
Anybody else? No, this is the expedited land use review procedures. This is Charter Section 197E.
What we voted for in the last election.
Or didn't vote for, as the case may be.
But it did get passed.
Yes.
I think an important factor to take into account is ensuring that if we have, like say, we want apartments to be mixed use, not just small units for transient people, but families that can set up, so 3 or 4 family units. Going back to say $900,000 a unit, that's for a 4-bedroom unit. That's not for a 1-bedroom unit. I don't know where they're building it from. I mean, Aaron knows this as good as I do, better than I do, but it doesn't cost you that type of money. That's a gain for the grants. It's not, that's taking advantage of the system, which, whatever, that's a whole different issue. But if we're having input on standards, I think obviously we want new people to come in, start up young and move in, but we also want a mixed facility of enough 4-bedroom, 3-bedroom, 2-bedroom, et cetera, that families can take roots into, both in affordable and in market rate. And so if they want that type of waiver, I think that's an important factor.
Anybody else? So yeah, everybody, take a look at this and think about it, and just, so you guys know that typically now, with regards to what Josh was saying about the rezonings, it's been the case in the last couple of administrations, really since the MIH law was passed, that the city doesn't upzonings without affordable housing. So in other words, you couldn't go and ask for a market rate upzoning. So this is a big change to this, saying yes, you can ask for, you know, a relatively modest size market rate upzoning, and we're not gonna necessarily ask you to do affordable housing. But the rules have yet to be made, right? And so I think it's important that everybody say, you know, what they think is going to be, you know, they wanna see. And keep in mind also that the fact that these rules exist doesn't mean that we also that communities can't also just ask for the rezonings that they think are appropriate, right? And individual property owners can still ask for a variance. It's just that this is a different procedure. Okay, what's next? 600 Utica Avenue. You can open that up. Oh, and so one more thing about these ULURP. I think it's really, really important for you guys to understand that this doesn't apply to most of the city. It applies to us because we don't have contextual zoning and we have not rezoned in like most of the district in like 50 years. That's something that's really important to understand. If this all
Still have R2 and R4 zoning in places we had not really in R7.
Yeah, so in most of the city where they have R6B and R6A and R7A, this isn't an issue. Their zoning is their zoning, and if somebody wants to change it, they're gonna have to go through the whole ULURP process.
Yeah.
But it specifically applies to us and to the one or two other districts that don't have contextual zoning, like Community Board 17, which apparently is, you know, going through that process right now, and maybe like some parts of Community Board 12, which I think is Sparrow Park. In the low density districts, that's a different story. But also there's, I don't know if you guys noticed this during the Affordable Housing Fast Track, but the City Planning Commission is also looking at sort of exemptions to this fast track based on not having enough infrastructure or, you know, being in a flood zone or whatever. So that's definitely an out for like South Brooklyn and Eastern Queens and so on. It's not gonna be an out for us because we're in the transit zone. So I just want you guys to understand that this is squarely aimed at our district. And, you know, if we did have contextual zoning, this is not something that we would have to worry about.
What do we have to do to implement that?
We would have to apply for it. That's section 197C. So, okay, 600 Utica Avenue. So the owners of 600 Utica Avenue, through their lawyer, contacted the district office and said that they're looking at rezoning from C82, which is, you remember, is the automotive district, to residential zoning. So here you can see that I pulled this up from Zola. It's very helpful. You can see the whole profile of the area. It's a 17,000 square foot lot, so it's quite large. Yeah. I don't know how to.
You just pinch it?
It's
No, not the screen.
A small portion of it is in an R6 zoning district. Because behind it, you can, on East 49th, you can see there are all of these small homes, like, Cheryl, are they like 2-story houses? Is that what it is?
No, not all.
What?
Not all. There's some single.
Some 1-story houses? Wow, okay.
On
So they're-
on 49th
49th
Street?
Street is
Yeah.
two.
Yeah, 249th Street, there's
No,
two of
there's two, it's house and the lower
Right.
unit. So it's
Okay.
So not like,
two
yeah,
stories.
yeah, it is
So
two
they're
stories, but
small homes.
on
They're small.
46, there's 1-story home.
So this is Winthrop and this
Some
is
is not.
49th Street right here.
45th, yeah. 45th.
So on the Utica Avenue side, right? You have a wide street, it's 100 feet wide, and it's a commercial avenue. But behind them, you have these small houses.
That's the Ace lumber, no?
Yes, it is. It's the Ace Lumber. And I asked, but didn't get an answer, if the developers are the owners of Ace Lumber, when they're
What's the
planning to terminate these.
You know the name of the person that asked?
It's a land use lawyer from Sherman and Sterling, and the name of the owner is JS 1024 LLC.
Right here.
So,
JS 1040 LLC.
so we don't know really who they are. But I was curious to know if they're the owners of the Ace Lumber, if they're, when that lease is gonna terminate, like is
It's
this?
not a lease, they purchased the property. The owners of the Ace lumber purchased the
Oh, they're the owners, okay, so it'll probably, you know, it could happen soon. They apparently haven't started the application process with city planning yet, so it's still early, which is a good chance to, you know, talk about what's going on here. So they're asking for an R7X, which is about a 15-story building. It's quite dense, with mandatory inclusionary housing and a commercial overlay on the ground floor. So you can go down to the, so it'll be a total of 90 units, of which 23 will be affordable.
What?
And I do think, by the way, if it's 90 units, these are gonna be on the larger side. They're gonna average
So
probably
they're
about
asking for R7.
R7X,
Okay.
right? So I think, given the zoning and the size of the lot, and the commercial ground floor, I think we're gonna be looking at apartments that are like an average of about 950 square feet. So these are on the larger side. You may see some three bedrooms.
They asking for 680 units?
No, they're okay. So
For 600
It's
square,
gonna
this
be
is an 80
90
square feet a
units.
unit.
it's going to be 90 units total, right? And the lot size is 17,000 square feet. The total FAR will be 6.0. 1.0 of that FAR will be the commercial. So if you have 5.0 of residential times the 17,000, and then you divide that by the 90, that's how I'm getting the average lot size. Average apartment size, yeah.
How much is average apartment size?
I think it's gonna be like 900 plus square feet, so there are gonna be some larger apartments in there. And so the parking requirements,
It's 100
because,
square feet a bedroom. Legally it's 85 required square feet a bedroom.
yes.
85 usable square feet.
Yes.
It's not full square feet.
More than one bedroom apartment.
Yeah.
So we're in the outer transit zone, so we're gonna have a 15% parking requirement, but minus the affordable housing. So out of 67 market rate units, 15% of, you have to have parking for 15% of them. So like basically 9 or 10 units. And then the commercial will be one parking spot for every 1,000 square feet. So if we see 17,000 square feet of commercial, 17 parking spots out of that. So 17 plus 9 is 26 will be the minimum. But they could choose to provide more than the minimum, which I assume they're only gonna do if they think people are gonna pay for the parking.
Of course. Which people will do because they have to park.
So, any reactions, questions?
One question, just looking at the big picture here, right? Because there's a lot of building going on in the neighborhood.
Yes.
And we're getting inundated with a lot of this construction. And like I said, I could throw a stone to every single building that's out there. So my question is, right across the street, you have 630 Utica Avenue, it's the old Mike's Diner. Right? They just applied for a demolition permit. Do we have any idea of what's going on that property, which is highlighted in red just below the blue?
That's
The corner.
Yeah, it's a corner,
It's a
right
corner
there.
road. It's a corner road.
Right, 630 Mike, so,
We haven't heard anything from them.
and that's the thing that concerns me, is that we don't have a large scale look at what's going on within the neighborhood. A lot of large buildings are being built, construction, down, not far is gonna be the Kingsborough project that's going on there.
Yeah, and then
The
the
non-vital
Utica Crescent, which is on Rutland,
Right, so,
that's a 15-story building that just
correct,
went
you
up
have Utica
there.
Crescent,
Yeah.
Kingsborough, Cambria Heights, and we're just getting inundated with all of this construction. Right? So, the thing is how come, right, they don't include or look into, right, individual home ownership as part of the construction, right? Because that is what helps a community, builds a community. You get less transients that come back and forth, right? So we all understand housing is needed, but when I hear of other locations, when they have similar projects, right, there's a component there for single family home ownership.
Yeah, and they disregard the whole part of single family. They're just buildings after buildings. Right now, you have in that few square blocks over in the planning, you have over 2,500 units going up.
Yeah.
And it's a matter of what? Within 10 years.
It's a lot.
I don't think we have so many people that need to live in this area specifically.
And district-wide, I think it's about
And
5,000 in
keep in
this
mind, zero parking. Every place you get zero parking.
Right,
Like the amount of parking we get, it's not considered parking.
So the concern is, right, what can be done to make sure, and I always go back to this, is that everybody gets to share this concern for affordable housing, right? Because we're getting dumped on. And what bothers me is that in the area where I used to be, there used to be a lot of manufacturing, right? So you can build all these homes that you want, but what happens if you don't have a manufacturing component or economic development component, then what happens? Those that are in the buildings are deadlocked because there's no way to escape, to make yourself go to something better or whatever. Right? You have, off the top of my head, and I did this, there were 5 locations that were industrial that turned into housing, right, within my zip code. Right? And those are jobs that are gone. Now you have housing, right? You have supportive housing, you have affordable housing, but what are they doing for jobs in order to progress to that next step?
And see, it is a rare commodity to have within your district because it allows this kind of manufacturing development, these types of businesses to come in that will supply jobs. If that's on Empire, that's here, taking it away,
Yes.
it's gonna take away potential.
Well, I don't know how many
development.
jobs are actually there when you talk about mechanic shops, I'm talking about an average mechanic
I'm
shop.
talking about
It could
economic
be
development,
anything.
right? So that's what I'm talking about.
Even a mechanic shop employs 20 people.
Right.
20
The size of this lot,
Huh?
the size of this lot, a mechanic shop like this size
No,
will
I
employ
like
20.
the idea of it, but I think
I don't even think
Fourth
it's
Avenue
hybrid.
made a similar mistake. Instead of going about, having a master rezoning plan, this is an opportunity for us to say we're open to rezoning and we want it. But how do we wanna go about this? Let's look at the entire block, the character of the block.
Yeah, but it's
I
not
think
about
parking-
rezoning the entire neighborhood. They rezone each piece of deal the way they want to
Right, but we
rezone it.
can also let
Exactly.
it know what
Yeah.
will
And-
occur.
That's what we
And
want to achieve.
contextual rezoning, believe me, my area will be hit and
Our-
targeted, our area will be hit and targeted, our area will be hit and targeted. Especially when this is allowed, that's opening Pandora's box. So contextual rezoning, CB9, there's only gonna be certain areas that are protected and will not and cannot be touched. They're landmarked, they're whatever.
Yeah, we also
There's
have
no
all that.
way to say that if we did any contextual rezoning, that we can guarantee that the area, my area alone, guys, is 14 buildings within a 5-block radius, and now we're incorporating this guy. Where does it end? When they said they were allowing these city of yes and all these different excuses and allowances, they said everyone will do their part and they said that we will look into what's already done. It's not being done with us.
Not happening.
It's not happening. It's continuing and continuing and continuing. And it's never gonna stop. I mean, even the Vital Brooklyn, there's new information about how they got so slick with what they got. That should not, it slipped past us and it was not exposed to us. And it's now they're about to build. And we're talking about 7 buildings and 2 rows of homes, right? 7 not 1, not 2, not 3, 7 buildings with 3 shelters, right? And now we have Utica Crescent. There was already a fire. There was an apartment and somebody already, the fire department had to come. There was already fire in the building. Okay? So, and now we have another building. At what point do we say, no, can we start somewhere else? Or can we not allow this to happen? Because 1 is going to be 2, is going to be 3, and we're not going to be able to see the sky soon. At what point do we, as a community board, say no? And I don't see a contextual rezoning helping us in our area. It's only going to hurt us even more and open the door.
So let's talk about, some of the issues that Rob was raising about, being able to take a comprehensive look, being able to consider factors like economic development, right? So this is basically the ULURP, the land use and the comprehensive planning process, as opposed to an individual ULURP for each individual site. So as a board, we can talk about that however we want, whenever we want. There is a formal way to do that. That's a 197A plan. It's a very big undertaking. I don't think it's something that we're going to be able to, this year, but it's something that we can start thinking about it, and I'm glad that you brought it up, because I think it is important to think about where we want to have economic development and what type of economic development we want to have. The zoning can be there. It's not necessarily going to bring either housing or economic development. So there are components beyond zoning. The zoning just sets the stage, right? We have to actually think about, and maybe this is even in the other committees, what kind of economic development we want to see. Manufacturing is a different type of zoning than retail. That's a different type of zoning than automotive and open uses, which is what CA2 is primarily for. Although it does allow for some light manufacturing, right? So those are things we need to think about. We need to think about what else is required to bring economic development. Typically, there's incentives. Maybe it's just a matter of as a community, seeking out the type of investments that we want to have.
So I just wanted to mention one on that. If you go back to 245 Clarkson, right? Anybody can jump in, I don't remember. The affordable units and the supportive units, how many were there? It was broken down.
60% supportive,
Okay.
40% affordable.
40%
And that's apparently, we were told by this developer that that's a typical breakdown. It's kind of required by the programs,
Right.
the
So,
60-40.
I was at the meeting yesterday.
Yeah.
Okay. And one of the questions that I asked is that when people rotate into their housing units, right, after they age out of foster care and whatnot, I said, what is the success rate for them transitioning out and then someone else coming into that apartment, right? Because that's, I would think,
That's
the
plan.
theme,
That's the plan.
right? So they told me it was like 10%.
Yeah.
And that 10% is a success rate.
Wow.
And that's like, at that point, I think it was like 7 or 8 units that would become available. Right? And that's where I come to the economic development plan, because if there's no way for them to get skills, transition out for something, more better for them, right? They become locked in there. And then what happens, you're building all of these homes, well, I should say apartment complexes, with no economic development, and then people are deadlocked and they don't move. And that becomes like similar to a pyramid scheme, right? You build, then what happens? Nobody can transition out, you gotta build more. So that's why economic development, that component is necessary in order to build like an economic engine for people to cycle in and cycle out, because that's how it is sold to everybody. And a 10% transition rate is not acceptable.
If you don't mind, so I actually dealt with this with one of my tenants that we had to evict. And one of the biggest issues were that when these units become available, they're not made available to local people. It becomes a citywide thing. That these fostering agencies that basically just pass people around. So I think that's an important factor because it's a community. Community involvement will always help that. But generally, the people that are going into supportive units, they're more capable than homeless shelters. Like if they have their budget and they have things they can take care of themselves, they're not people that are ever going to get out. And I would say 10% is an overstatement. They're kind of they're not bad people. They show up, and having them in one place allows them to be looked after. It's really a question of management of this resource. And
it's going to be on like the DMV. I think it's really going to be managed.
And community involvement. Otherwise, it ends up kind of like Section 8 housing, where everybody just stays in there because I got a 4-bedroom unit, and why should I leave?
So that sounds like you're building like New York City housing all over the place.
Basically.
That's what it sounds like.
Basically.
So that's why the economic component is necessary. All right, if we're going to do that for affordable housing, I'm all for that and whatnot, but there has to be an economic component where these individuals can get a job, and they can turn around, build the skills,
But also,
and get confident to be out there in the world.
But also, I think the point I was making was that local organizations should have a partnership, with these.
Absolutely.
With the input of who's going to move in there, so like that, they're kind of not responsible, they're kind of involved with these people and making sure that in addition to the master organization, taking care of their needs, they're actually taken care of, and any job available in local stores.
Correct.
And there's a community aspect in all our various communities and diverse communities in the neighborhood.
I just want to bring out also that all this overdevelopment, we have a problem with the sewer bank.
Yeah, they don't change.
Major
The infrastructure is very
major
poor.
infrastructure. The city's not making bigger sewers around, they're keeping the same sewer system. So every time it floods, every time there's a major rainfall, we're getting flooded, all our basins are getting flooded.
Right.
I live a block away, I live on East 45th Street, all our houses are gonna get flooded.
Yeah.
So you're building all these buildings, and the sewer system is still remaining the same where all this sewage are going, backing up to our houses.
But I believe we can fight this Clarkson thing still. Well,
No, all the Kingsborough Hospital.
Yeah, but all these vital grouping can still be fought.
Yeah, well, that's besides the problem of the parking. We have no sewer backup.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think we
think
should get back to this here, then we can move on.
Yeah, so I think that is actually a really, that's a really good point about the sewers. And all of these things are things that we can put down on a 197C plan. That these are, we don't just need to rezone this lot and this lot and this lot for housing or whatever we want, right? We need all of these things to go together with the housing. And how much housing do we want to build? What kind of housing does our community need? What's affordable for us? What, kind of bedroom sizes, apartment sizes do we need, right? Do we want home ownership? All of these things should be in there. And zoning, we can say what size we think the building should be. We can try to plan for how much we think our communities are gonna grow, or if they're not growing, right? But we also have to involve the non-zoning aspects of it, right? Because these things don't just come about just because we zone it that way. We can zone to make sure that we have sunlight, right? We can look at the heights of buildings and where they're located. But, back to 600 Utica specifically.
I just make a point quickly
Yeah, go ahead.
just on the 197C. I would just be really clear-eyed that this would lead to a net increase in the amount of housing that's built. Like, there's not been a down zoning since 2012, I think, 2011, that would reduce. So, like, we want to have this comment. I'm happy to. I'm a sicko, so I have my own views about the world. But like this would lead to more housing development going through this process at the end of the day. Like that is what would be.
You're asking for it too.
Well, yeah, but I mean that would be contingent on to get this approved. You'd have to ask for more housing to be built at a faster rate.
No, but it depends where. If you're asking for the zoning R7X on a Utica Avenue where you just finished building 3 brand new buildings, which I don't know, what is it, 400 units? What is that?
Utica Crescent, I
Yeah.
think that was close, that was 300.
380, 90
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
We're almost close to 400 units.
Yeah.
But in that area, if you keep the same zoning, you can't go too much. Right now it's an R6.
Yeah.
What is it, R6?
I'm not talking about individual lots. I'm talking about if you were to do a district-wide or
If
neighborhood.
you keep a district-wide R6 zoning, I think a R6 zoning is something that can work with many. It works in many other communities. It doesn't doesn't allow you to build too much crazy.
Yeah.
And it will allow you to keep the resident. We have some places in our community that we still have R2. Why should we have an R2? An R2 basically is overbuilt at today's R2. Right now we are overbuilt. The existing building is overbuilt by an R2. Why should we have an R2 in a community where they have existing property bigger than an R2?
Yeah,
So
so
let's talk a little bit about what height people wanna see in Utica Avenue. I know there are some of you that live on the eastern end of the district. You know, what, I think 15 stories is tall.
Yeah.
I don't know.
We don't wanna see any height, nothing, we don't wanna see anything in the area more than seven stories, we should not have that, you're building, we don't wanna see anything more than 7 stories,
I think that's very reasonable.
That's R6 basically, 75
Yeah.
feet.
nothing more.
And as far as, you know, we can't, so one of the things about the MIH law, we can't stop developers individually coming to us and asking for rezonings and upzonings as long as they're putting in mandatory inclusionary housing. But, right, one of the reasons, like, if you're thinking of this as like a game, right, one of the reasons they're coming to us with this in these CA2 districts is because they think, right, somehow they're not satisfied with what they have now, right? Maybe it's not that profitable, the business isn't that great, whatever. They think a residential rezoning will be more profitable, right? So how can you sort of like head them off? Because once they come to you and they ask for this, we can say no until we're blue in the face, but they get approved. They get approved because at the end of the day, right, what they can say is, you don't wanna give me my upzoning, I'm gonna build a giant community facility and, you know, commercial thing, right? I'll build a huge medical facility, I'll, you know,
I think we
A
prefer
hotel,
that.
I'll build a hotel.
Right, I'll build a
which is-
hotel.
which
I
is
think we
all
prefer
that.
that.
Hotel.
That's actually gonna create jobs.
It's jobs,
We always say, that's
it's
fine,
jobs,
build it.
it's jobs.
right? And with CA2, there's also no height limit, right? There's less incentive for them to go tall, but they have to do a lot of parking, so maybe they do wanna leave a lot of open space on the lot so that they don't have to dig down, right? And so my guess would be, yeah, maybe you would get a 9 or a 10-story building anyway. And if you want for all of Utica Avenue to be community facilities, that's fine. But then where do we put the housing if the community is growing, right? So these are all things to sort of to
I
think
think we have enough housing for the
I'm
next 10
serious.
years.
We do.
At this
But
point,
It's too much.
at a personal level, I mean, they live there, so I don't wanna step on their toes, but generally, for
Yeah.
this property
Should we
owners,
get
I
the
prefer
agenda up?
upzoning
Sure.
to an extent, because we do have to fit more people in. But I do think that we should be insisting on a lot more parking, so that doesn't impact the neighborhood, and a lot more commercial and communal facility within. These things, so that we have like commercial activities and jobs.
If there was a fair share of
Right,
this,
and
but everything
and
is
let
commercial
everybody
residential.
come and say, I wanna do commercial, you're gonna run out of commercial abilities for a long time, there's gonna have to be a blend. So, there's only so many people that can play that game, and then somebody who's coming to actually use any of that. So, it does have to be a mix of some sort, and we do have a say, even if they come back to us and some go and play the commercial game, that's fine. And then in between, how's that happening? And the next people are gonna say, well, there's no market for it. So
So
that'll
the-
kind of correct itself.
In other words, you don't want to create an economic desert.
Exactly.
So we do have zoning districts that give the option. For example, in an R6 district with a C2 overlay, the entire thing can be retail commercial, or the entire thing can be residential, or it can be half and half. In a C44, the entire thing, it's twice as big as an R6, but it's the equivalent of an R7. The entire thing can be commercial, the entire thing can be residential. It can be like 1 floor of each and 3 floors of the other, 3 floors, 2 floors, 2 and 2. You have that option, like you're saying. There are districts where that give the owner the option. But if you want manufacturing, you're likely not going to want to have any residential there. So these are things to think about, right? Same thing with automotive. I have a car. I do need to get my car fixed once in a while, right? You want to still have those places, and some people are generally not going to want to live next to the auto body shop. So we need to think about where we're going to put things and what's the right place to put them.
I also think we have to take into account on that avenue, like this idea of the Utica Avenue subway. I know it's a long way off, but if we want that to happen, we do need travel density. And we do need, residential density. So we have to balance that as well, because if not, then the economics will never work and we'll never get it.
I think that's a really good point. I know there are communities, some of these suburban communities, they'll say, no, we're not allowing any more density because we don't have any infrastructure, and they put their foot down until they get the infrastructure. And what they demand the infrastructure first, then they let the density go. We're usually scrambling to get the infrastructure after. So again, these are conversations that need to happen not just in our committee, but also in other committees. But I think this is, the right place to start. And I don't know when these guys are scheduled to come. We asked them to come in May. So at that point, we'll have to tell them, whatever it is, we don't want it to be so big, we want more parking, we want more large size units, right? But for the larger question, I think it's about, because we already have another 15-story building on Utica. If this one is also 15, everyone's gonna say, I want a
15-story building.
Yeah, it is.
Correct.
Exactly.
So it's important for us to establish, what we think is the right thing.
So clarifying,
All we can do is say no,
They're gonna get it anyways
They're
in
gonna
2 years
do
from
what they
now,
wanna
instead of
do.
2 years, a year and a half.
The
So
council,
what
the
do we
council
have?
member,
Suki, what do we have in place that we can stand on what they suggested? Okay, they said, just like with City Yes, I have the meeting. This City of Yes building is only going to address the ones that have not done the most building. Why can't we bring that to them and say, listen, I mean, we're talking about last year, the last 2 years alone, the last 2 years to the next alone, we have done probably double or triple than other communities.
So we should be exempt.
So at what point can we
so
use
the
their
right
own words
person-
against them?
So the right person to bring that to would be the council person, right?
Mm.
What we have to do is we have to say like, here's our plan for the next 10 years. These are the things we need, these are the things that we don't need. This is how big we think buildings should be. And if she agrees, she can make that law, right? But, there has to be a community consensus.
Who's the council person for this?
Rita.
Rita Joseph.
No, that's Crystal Hudson.
This
That's
site,
Utica,
no,
Utica.
sorry,
Oh,
it's Clarkson and
Utica.
Utica.
That's-
It's Clarkson and Utica, it's Rita Joseph.
Oh, no.
No,
Right.
Chris, it's
Yeah, they
it's not, it's
split the
Mealy,
line.
Darlene Mealy.
Yeah.
Darlene Mealy.
Troy Avenue, they split it.
Darlene Mealy.
Darlene
Yes,
Yeah.
it's Darlene Mealy.
District 40, people, it's Council District 40.
It's Darlene Mealy.
No, it's Council District 40, it says right there. They
46,
redrew the
46.
lines, they redrew the lines, Cheryl,
When?
recently,
Oh,
the last
recently.
election. That Utica's in her district.
No, it's Darlene Mealy. I just looked it up on the council.
Oh,
calendar.
it's like Darlene Mealy.
Because Troy Avenue, it splits.
Yeah,
Yeah, Troy
I-
Avenue is the.
I looked up the address on the city council website. It's Darlene Mealy.
No, but it says Council District 40 right here.
Your
So
side is
let's
Neely,
not up to date.
my side
It's
is
not assembly,
is Joseph.
Brian
Yeah,
Cunningham?
because my mother lives on the east side of Troy. She's Neely, I'm on the west side of Troy. I'm Rita
really?
Joseph, yeah.
Hold on a second.
Troy, Troy Avenue is split.
Oh, wow.
Okay, well, there was definitely a redrawing of the
Yeah.
council lines in
This is the most
20.
updated.
Okay.
So this is incorrect, did you say?
Oh, I see. Rita Joseph has like one, like, finger that goes to
It's only for the Vital Brooklyn stuff.
Yeah.
That's what it covers.
Read us for the Vital Brooklyn.
It's the Kingsborough site.
Oh, how
Whole thing.
fascinating.
It's appendage.
So this is Neely for sure.
Yeah.
That's the Clark.
Yeah, and that's not my
Thank you. So you would have to go to Mealy and you would have to tell her, this is what we wanna see.
Go talk to Charlie Mealy.
What a waste.
Is that something that the?
I mean, I'm just talking to you.
What?
Is that something that the board can put forth the?
Yeah. Yeah, that would be what we could do. Okay, so, and
She's one of the few council people that comes to our meetings.
Josh, you have something you wanted to say?
okay, so what do we have to do
Oh,
about
I actually
next?
remember, yeah. Remind the people where both of these are in the process. Do we have like an application
So
file?
they're not certified yet, okay, which certification happens just before it starts the process. So,
I'm sorry, what are you talking about, the certification?
where 1550 Bedford and 600 Utica are in the application process. So,
And Clarkson.
1550 Bedford, yeah, Clarkson does not have a ULURP application at all, because they're claiming it's gonna be as of right. Although, as I said, I have my doubts. 1550 Bedford is in the pre-application stage. So that could take an indefinite amount of time, we don't know. This one, they say that they haven't filed with city planning yet. So this is a good opportunity to influence the plans. If we have an idea of what we wanna see, and, you know, let's be real, like, even though we stand for the community, you should also understand that landowners are gonna wanna make money with their land. So let's, you know, if you wanna tell them to do something that's gonna make them no money, that's going nowhere. But if you have uses in mind that work for the community, that work for them too, yeah, maybe you have a chance to influence them.
And they'll be here next meeting.
We have invited them for the May meeting.
They've been invited,
They have not said, confirmed that they're coming.
Are you, I'm sorry to interrupt, this is still new business, correct?
Yes.
Okay, because I wanna actually make a motion. I wanna make the motion and then explain what it's about, if it's okay.
Okay,
And I have it written down. I would like to make a motion for Brooklyn Community Board 9 to request clarification from New York City Council Speaker Julie Menon and New York City Council Committee and Oversight Chair Shakar Krishnan on whether the New York City Council was notified of their New York General Municipal Law 72-H 30-day right to disapprove the September 10th, 2025 mayoral approval to sell 681 Clarkson Avenue, Brooklyn, New York, which is AKA Vital Brooklyn. So I'm making a motion.
I second.
okay, so were you going to explain?
Yes, I was gonna explain. It was recently brought to our attention. At the Vital Brooklyn Psychiatric Center, under section C, the transactional structural and approvals, it says here in the last part, I think everybody may have it. In the last paragraph, it says here, section 72H of the New York General Municipal Law and other actions are required. And this was omitted when they, and as you see in the section, New York General Municipal Section Law 72H, the sale and the lease and transfer to municipal corporation of certain public lands. It says here in the first paragraph, in a city having a population of 1 million or more, the mayor, subjected to disapproval by the city council within 30 days following receipt of notice of the approval of the mayor, may sell, transfer, or lease to or exchange. So this section right here says that the city, again, the mayor had to, upon disapproval from the city council. So
And to
that's
give a
why the
chance to
motion,
city council.
right, exactly. The city council was not given notification regarding this 72-8. So what I would like, and the motion is regarding requesting the community board 9, just for Vital Brooklyn, to request clarification from the council if they were notified regarding the 72H and the sale.
As of now, we don't have any confirmation that we're notified.
So I'm going to move
I
to,
actually have confirmation that they were not notified.
yeah,
But they claim that it's a city-state thing and they don't need to, but
No, but that's not true because it was owned by the city. It wasn't owned by the state.
It's here in black and white, and I've been here since
Jay, do
2023.
you wanna read the response that you got from
Before he
Brian
does.
Brady?
Before he does, I've been here at this community board since 2023, asking community board for help and assistance with this. And I was always told it's a state project and it's Brian Cunningham who doesn't help us.
He made
And
it happen.
it says that he was the one that we were supposed to do a go-to for it. And I there's a lot of questions that I have, regarding, even to say, this is a $40 million project. How did it go for zero? I don't understand. There's just too many questions regarding behind this whole Vital Brooklyn plan. It's a lot of questions that we need to answer because I feel that we need to actually bring it up to someone. I don't know, Department of Investigation, someone. How did this come about without the proper procedures going through? We need to find out clarification as to what happened.
So do you wanna read Brian Brady's response? Cause we have actually written several letters to the city council about the deed rework.
And so what happens is, just for the record, my name is Jay Sora.
Come closer.
We contacted,
Come on in.
what's that?
Closer.
So we contacted, so we contacted Rita Joseph's office. And for the past year, I've been sending out letters asking them, saying, listen, I think that there's another step that's involved, that the local governing body has to approve it, and that prior to them approving it, there's a public hearing. And I sent out letters over and over again because it wasn't on the agenda. They came to us in May. They didn't tell us anything about this public hearing, but I kept on sending out letters and everything. And I said that this, and I'll be transparent and honest with everybody. I thought it was the city council. I was 100% sure it was the city council that approves this, and there was a public hearing before. And I begged them, what's the answer? Okay, I asked Rita Joseph 9 months before. It's a tricky question. She contacted the attorney for the city council. And I got an email back from Brian Grady, who's been doing a good job at Rita Joseph's office. He said, I'm waiting for the response back. This was 9 months before the approval came in. We then come in February, Cheryl Bernard follows up with Brian Grady and says, what's going on with this other hearing? We get a response from the lawyer, and he says, guess what? This was in February. He says, in August and September, we sold it. There was a mayoral hearing to approve it. They advertised it and they sold it. That means they came here in May. They gave you a timeline and they didn't tell people about the timeline. Okay, so in terms of what Brian Grady mentioned, Rita Joseph's office, they said the project was sold. It was the approval was given, and there was a public hearing and everything like that. The way that it works and what they said is they said it's the mayor's office which approves it. That's what the lawyers said. The lawyers are 100% correct. They did it the correct way in having the mayor's office approve it. But there's a question of is two things. Number one is, why did New York State keep this entire community in the dark that the city council had a veto over the whole damn project? Because they knew that if they came in here and said, well, it's New York State Empire State Development, nothing we could do, okay, they can walk all over the community. If they said, by the way, you go to your city council person and they can object to the current version. They never told us that. That's a very big thing. The community was kept in the dark. That's part of the motivation for this. So it had to go in terms of the mechanics of it. After the mayoral approval, and you guys can see it, September 10th was the mayoral approval, which was done correctly. Prior to that, there was a hearing on August 13th, in the middle of the summer, when everybody was away, when there was summer recess, no one knew about it. They didn't tell anybody. No actual notice. What they did was, what's that? Uncertain. He may not have known about it. I don't know. He may not have known. What they did
Well,
was,
the problem is the way it was advertised in the city record
That's
was
right.
by the block and lot. They didn't give the address, they didn't state the community board. So like if Dante had a search set up for community board 9, it wouldn't have popped
you
up.
may be correct. But here's the kicker. That what happened was after that, and this is something that the response from the lawyers, they didn't say the second part. The second part is that New York General Municipal Law 72H is what's controlling. Because who approves this? You know, there's an approval of city property. The general project plan specifically said the city has to quitclaim the deed. For those of you who don't know it, what happens is 681 Clarkson had a reverter from New York State. It said whenever it's no longer used for hospital purposes, it goes back to New York City. So the plan, the general project plan of New York State Empire State Development says that that there has to be a quitclaim deed from New York City over to New York State Empire State Development. But who makes that decision? Because there's no ULURP. There's no ULURP or anything, so who makes the decision? The answer in terms of the approval is, they said, the lawyer said, we think it's in the mayor's, his orbit, okay? The real reason is there's a specific law that controls this. It's New York General Municipal Law 72H, okay? Nobody knows about it because it wasn't part of the materials. It was part of the RFP. I have it, okay? So in the RFP, and this is what I give you over here, it says specifically, this project, you must be in compliance with New York General Municipal Law 72H. They knew in 2020, August 9th, they knew exactly what they were doing. I would venture to say the developers had to know also, because you don't go into something not knowing how it's gonna work. But it specifically says in the RFP, you gotta follow the New York General Municipal Law 72H. 72H says, after the mayoral approval, because what happens is when there's no board of estimates, the board of estimates is abolished, it specifically says the mayor has to approve it, then it has to go to the city council, they get receipt. Once they get receipt, they get a 30-day right to veto. It's a very important right of the community, because then everybody could say, if you have a problem, you wanna do revisions, go to your city council person, and they'll vote it down. So the question that we have, I looked in the city council register, I did a few extra steps. I looked in the agenda items, I looked in every single agenda item for the city council, I looked in every single agenda item for the land use committee, and I looked to see, did this come up? And I looked in terms of the applicable time, I did PDF, I recorded it, I did, whatever sort of search, and there is nothing in it there. The question is, did they get it? Did the city clerk get it? And how did they present this? Because if they didn't give this to the city council, then it's an issue. So who makes the decision? The decision is the city council subcommittee. So what happens is, I wrote a letter to the city council subcommittee saying, what's going on, please clarify this. The Crown Heights Jewish Community Council on November 19th wrote a letter to Gail Brewer, okay, and said, could you clarify this issue? How does it work? Can you clarify it? Ignored. Therefore, I request, Cheryl's point is, we need to find out, did they receive it? If they didn't,
Okay.
then
So
it opens up.
I understand what you're asking.
Two sentences more, Suki. If they didn't do it, there's a question of whether or not they did. What sort of investigation? There's an Article 70 proceeding, and the 4-month statute of limitations, there may be exceptions to it also, where because of some sort of thing where it's continuing wrong. But the point is, individual people can do it, but we want to know what will the community board do independently to assist.
So we can write the letter to ask whether the city council received the notice, that's fine. But I'm gonna suggest that you amend this motion to strike out the sending this to the oversight chair. Those guys just they just oversee city agencies, right? They're not an investigative body per se. And replace that with the city council's general counsel. Do you have a name for that person?
I want this to go for an investigation. I want this to go to a
Jay,
specific
the
committee.
point-
That's my point. The
The
other one, don't.
point is, Jay, the point is that if somebody was supposed to get this,
Yes.
it would be, as you said, the city clerk, the clerk of the city council and or the
Land use committee.
the land use So there's a land use council and there's probably a general council.
Right.
And I would put them both on this, right? And I would also say instead of was notified of, was in receipt of notice, right? Because that's the actual notice versus the constructive notice, because everyone was constructively notified by the city record, even though.
No, they were notified of the hearing.
Right.
They were not notified of the approval, which is what is required.
So
The
were they in
approval.
receipt of notice of the
However you want to word it.
sale, right?
Of the approval, of the mayoral approval dated September.
It's not their right to disapprove, because they're supposed to know, right? Was in receipt of notice of the sale of,
No, it's the
You should
it's
leave
the
the
approval.
right to disapprove.
It's the mayoral approval. The sale happened afterwards.
okay,
It's
was
the-
notified
it's
of
September
the
10th.
mayoral approval
Yes,
for the
September 10th.
sale of 681 Clarkson
Yes.
pursuant to New York General Municipal Law 72H and the 30-day right to dispute.
Yeah, you can clean up, the only thing caveat I would say is, this is not a legal issue. Okay, but you can ask them also, there has to be, the committee is very important. If we send this to the lawyer, he may just give his opinion of, okay, this is the legal aspect. We wanna know, did they receive it?
Okay, then it needs to go to the clerk, right? Whoever is the officer
There
that
should
is
be an
designated
investigation on
to
this,
receive
there should be an investigation.
She's not saying that we should just ask them information, we should open an investigation and see how did they receive it.
Okay.
We don't want answers from them, we want an investigation
Right.
to answer
So
us
that's
how
what,
it
so that's what I'm saying, if you really wanna get an answer, it has to go to the person whose job it is to
Yeah,
get
that's
these
one
notices.
part.
In addition
We can
to,
do that,
in addition
but
to,
we
I
have
mean,
to have an
this is a
investigation.
very significant issue, because the community was kept in the dark from the city council.
I
Rita Joseph
understand,
asked
Jay.
the city council lawyer, okay, and they knew about this issue.
I
Crystal
understand,
Hudson knew about
Jay.
it, they all did.
I understand, Jay, and we're gonna send this letter, but by sending it to the oversight chair is not gonna know what to do with this. He's gonna pass this on to the lawyer, right?
But he'll still retain it, he'll ask questions, he'll say, when did you get this letter, when did you get
No,
this, with
he's-
this email?
No, he's
That's
not.
their job,
I don't
let's
even know,
vote
I
on it,
don't
let's
even
vote
know,
on it.
I don't even know
If you wanna
what
make an
oversight-
amendment, see if it's seconded,
Jay, I
and we'll
don't even
vote on it.
know, I don't even know what the oversight chair does specifically. You've gotta send it to the clerk or the
Okay,
person who's
let me ask you
Send it
this.
to the right
Whose
people.
whose job is
Right.
one second, whose job is it to look over that clerk that collects that papers?
It's
Who
not the oversight chair's job is to oversee city agencies.
Okay,
It's
that's
not
a
to
city
oversee,
agency.
it's not to oversee fellow members.
And the
or-
city, and the city council, the city council committee on oversight. If you disagree, have somebody, second your motion on the
You know what,
amendment, and
we,
we can vote on it.
it doesn't matter, we
What's
can,
the
we
big
Does
deal?
it hurt,
Why
does
don't
it
you
hurt to
just-
put it
why
in
don't
letter?
you include,
We can send it to
oversight
whoever-
chair anyway?
why don't we send
Yeah,
it to-
just
Send
send
it
it
to
to them
both.
also.
we can send it to whoever you wanna send it to.
Whatever, the
I'm
people that
just,
don't,
you know,
that
I
it
just
doesn't
feel,
pertain to, we'll just dump it in with the
Right.
garbage,
Right.
that's all.
we can send it to whoever you wanna send it to. I just feel bad that we've been sending every letter that you asked us to send, and we don't get anything back.
Okay, so do you have a
Why
better
And- and
That's
there
already
You
an
need to
oversight question.
foil, you need to foil the
That's-
FOIL
that's okay.
officer
You
to
need
determine if
submit-
they received anything.
Right.
They
You
have
need
to
to
tell
submit
you
a
by
freedom
law.
of information law.
You
Did you
understand what I'm
submit a
saying?
FOIA request for that?
This is not.
By law, they have to respond
If-
to you. These people can just,
Throw it in the garbage.
exactly.
It is the responsibility, if everybody here is public servants, to do everything that they can do to make sure that the community is kept in the dark on some project which is so unsighted. You know, it's 9% home ownership. The one in Creedmoor is 50% home ownership. And the basic there's tremendous differences. The homeless, social services is 39% here. Creedmoor, it's 12%. Okay, tremendous differences.
It's not fair, Jay.
And that's
You
why-
know,
But we're here to
the
fight.
assembly
If you're not
member,
willing to, if you're not
Jay,
willing to fight,
Jay,
get somebody else who will.
Jay,
I have a
Assembly-
suggestion.
Jay,
Why don't we just
the
leave-
assembly member on the Public Authorities Control Board, which determines whether these project gets passed,
Yes,
is Leroy Comrie. He's from Eastern Queens.
yes.
Do you think that that's a coincidence?
What-
He has the power to stop Creedmoor, okay?
Yes.
I
Right.
don't know that Brian Cunningham has the power to stop Vital Brook.
Brian Cunningham,
So
okay,
support-
Doesn't want to.
Brian Cunningham could have put pressure on the governor, but he was running for lieutenant governor and his salary would have doubled.
Yep.
The cost of these deeds, tell everybody what happened. The deeds went for $0.
Yep.
It was originally supposed to be $30.9 million, and then he created legislation with Senator Myrie changing it. we should be aggressive and say, what was the community benefit that we gave the developers 7.5 acres for free and not $30.9 million? What was the change? There's lots more people who could use that money.
Why don't we just,
Alright,
just
let's
to
send
move this
this
on,
letter,
why don't we
okay?
do two things, right? Why don't we just, write the letter in motion, but also do a FOIL request.
Okay.
And what happens
So
if you show me how to do a FOIL request, I'll do
you
it.
should do the FOIL request on your own.
Okay,
Because
I'll do it.
it needs to be backed up sometimes by a law. If they don't respond to you, you may need to sue.
Right.
Okay, so that you should do on your own. But we can send this letter,
Okay.
happy to send it.
So you how can we get step-by-step direction for FOIL request?
Oh, I know
Is that-
somebody that carried it.
No, for that specific thing. I know I do many FOIL requests every single day, but that's not that's not the point. The point is which department.
Okay,
What do you want to write on
find out who the FOIL officer is. They have an email address for sure.
there? Okay, we can find this out, Jay.
Yeah, and I'll tell you something else.
Find,
So hold on.
He's not
Stay on the
for
topic.
something else.
FOIL request. Can you prepare something that will say step by step for FOIL request?
I can do it, but they'll care a hell of a lot more if they see the land use.
No. I just need the direction.
She's
Once
not
you
saying
have a
she's not
direction,
gonna do it.
you're gonna have
It's a
everybody
piece
in
of
this room that's going to
Jay,
request.
what we can do better than you is ask nicely, okay? If you need
And
to
we've seen
FOIL,
how well that
if you
works.
need to FOIL, you can do that better than you all, the community can do
Right.
that better than you.
Somebody needs to
Okay,
give
no
direction.
problem.
You I don't think as you see a single person that knows how to do it.
But what will the community board be doing?
Alright, let's talk about this after the meeting. In the meantime,
She'll send a letter,
there's
but
a
she needs to
motion,
do
there's a
something
second on the
else.
motion,
I told her
can we get a
You're
vote?
not gonna answer her, that's what she's saying. She's
You've
saying
done a
you
FOIL
might have to get a lawyer to sue.
Is there any benefit for the community board to send it instead of us?
The benefit of the community board getting involved is that when there's a lawsuit with private individuals, we can say there was a community board resolution asking for it. And we may not even have to do it, we can try.
This is the resolution, this is the letter, okay, we're sending the letter, alright? You'll file your FOIL and we'll see which one comes back first.
Sounds good.
Alright, so
Sounds good.
can we vote on this motion?
When they give you lawyers, that's when it gets scary.
I
They
already
don't get a nice
seconded.
letter from Mrs.
Okay.
It's gonna be nice, and it was sorry, and
Yes,
that's what she's saying.
No, thank you.
What?
No, thank you.
We need strong
No.
basis.
Okay, she said she
Cheryl?
sent it.
We're voting on sending this letter,
It's a paper trail.
yes,
Yeah,
as
but the
well,
FOIL, they have to respond to you as well,
yes.
right?
We're voting on it.
Hold on a second.
They can
Okay,
extend.
so.
Man, oh, why
not?
I'm sorry,
It's
you
just the first
gotta
one.
sit at the table.
It's too long.
They're gonna
Yes,
know because
She
I
agreed to
support
do
private
it to the DOI.
yes.
Oh,
Well, you
yes,
support
yes.
So we have tenants,
You want private Woodland to happen?
Sorry, my
Where do you
non.
live?
so,
Huh?
As is though.
so we have tenant support,
Where
two
do you live?
against, the motion passes. Okay, and I'll clean this
Here,
up a
not
little bit.
over
I'm
there.
sorry, how many yeses, how many noes?
10 yeses, 2 noes.
2 noes? Oh,
The
okay,
motion
thank you, I
passes.
wanted to
You know who the 2 noes are.
Yeah, of course, yeah, I just wanted to know. Just wanted to know if it was only 2. That was it. That was it, just wanted to know. That's the inside joke.
Cheryl, you love us though, right?
I just,
You respect us.
I just thought it might have been just 1 no by 1 time, but yeah, it's okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
The community fair. So we can't, it's very difficult to get a moderator until we get a date and a venue. So I've been asking Dante to look at that. I've asked him to look at the Botanic Gardens auditorium. Does anybody else have any other suggestions for the western half of the district? I don't have anything back from him yet. If I don't hear back from him by tomorrow, I'll just make the call myself.
I think they have John Haas, they have a huge auditorium.
Oh, okay, that's
Where?
a good idea
On
too,
Ocean
the
Avenue.
John Hughes
John
Church on Ocean
No.
Avenue. Okay,
Moravian Church, I think.
okay,
Yeah.
so,
Moravian
It's Ocean and where?
Mayor.
Ocean
Yeah.
between.
Between Lincoln and the, okay, yeah.
It's like 211 Ocean.
I've been in Houston. One of the
Ocean
worst
is really, really. I mean, that's
so
like-
we're gonna try to do the eastern half of the community in June. And for sure, Kingsborough will be on it. There's potentially other public sites too. You know, there are public sites throughout the district. You know, remember with this LIFT task force, they're gonna be looking at everything. And every community has schools and police precincts and, you know, various and random public buildings. Don't, you know, just be aware of this.
That we can meet at it?
So where can we meet? No, I wasn't talking about that. I was talking about because the issue of, you know, a kind of land use town hall. I think some of us had talked about whether maybe it should focus on public sites. You know, so we thought we'd do one on the western half of the district, one on the eastern half of the district, so that more people can come. But in terms of where can we meet, my thought was maybe the SUNY Downstate Auditorium. I don't know if there's other choices on the eastern, and also Wingate High is another one that we've used in the past. I don't know if there's other choices. Anybody have any other suggestions?
That school on
It's sure it's
East
not a
New York?
holiday
Where's that school in East New
or
York?
Saturday.
So it's not gonna be a
391.
weekend because
221.
Saturday or Sunday are a problem for
Exactly.
everyone. It's gonna be a weekday
Exactly.
evening.
Yeah, that's us.
And not a Friday.
And it's gonna be a Zoom hybrid, so,
Has to be public property or could be private?
It's better.
it's better, but like, you know, Cheryl suggested a church. I mean, I'm open to any place that admits everyone.
How big would it have to be?
It should hold about 50 people.
50, that's not so big.
No, it doesn't
It
have
should be,
to
it should be at least 100 though.
It would be nice.
I hope you're hoping to get more than 50 people.
That's okay.
Well,
It would be
we
nice.
figure we might get the other half on Zoom, you know, because weekday evenings, people have to take care of their kids, blah, blah, you know.
At least 100.
Look, if it's a huge auditorium, we can take it and, we'll, you know, just
Is
move
there a
everyone to
budget
the
or is
front.
it like voluntary?
Right. Is there a
Is there
budget
a
for
budget
it?
for it?
I asked, I think I asked for like $1,500 and the office basically said they can cover whatever we need to cover, don't worry about it.
I don't know if they said that.
They said that?
Oh, and have you come up with a food list for me?
What about
Well,
the Jewish short?
There's always, it's easy to make a food list.
But that's the
Just
east,
make it
that's the
instead
western
of
side.
go to cities,
For the
that's-
eastern.
that's
For
what
the
you
eastern.
asked.
Yeah.
I did ask you for a list, remember I asked you?
There, what is the
Okay, but you need to send me a list that everybody.
Okay, let's not take up,
Okay.
We gotta move.
But
Anyway, I'm
anyway,
sorry, did you add PS 221?
okay, I'll put that on.
And fire between Troy and Schenectady.
Okay,
Also,
so, and remember, so this is just good for everyone to remember, for our events, we have to use city-approved vendors. So if you wanna buy food, if you wanna hire someone, the person has to have a city vendor number. So that does restrict you, and it means you need to start in advance, so any
You can
food
get it
or,
out or?
Dietary, you have to also think about dietary.
no, it's just they have to be approved, they have to go through the paperwork to be
approved vendor.
approved, and have a vendor number.
And it should be
I-
kosher,
I
should be
think
kosher
Oh, you
too.
do? Okay, so for food, she can do food.
Oh,
okay, okay.
It has
So
to be one of those early
give me-
supermarkets.
Give me your contact information after.
Don't get me started.
But
Because they're on the fence.
Like,
Because
it's
also woman, no one.
Here, what is the?
so in terms of food, yeah, we have to make sure that there's also.
And dietary, yeah, there has to be, exactly. Yeah.
So,
You're probably better off buying all there because everyone can eat there.
Where is this?
You understand what I'm saying?
Where is it?
But in other words, everyone.
No, that's
yeah,
America,
but,
but
yeah,
I'm
but
kosher.
who has a vendor, who has a city vendor?
My wife has it from her, she can basically purchase whatever she
Oh,
wants.
Okay,
So
okay.
she has all the
Okay,
registration.
so write down her contact information and give it to the office.
I think they took your number last time.
Okay. Let me see, I should.
Just give it to me right now.
It's
I'm ready.
646.
I'm ready to
Yeah.
go to the
Process work.
646
300
300
4803.
4803. And what's the name?
My name is Aaron Gluck.
And
You
what's
just
the
gave your cell phone to everyone on the
Everyone has
He doesn't
it.
need,
everyone watching.
and a couple
So
more
you-
months
your
from now,
wife
you're
has
gonna be
a-
sorry for that.
No, I'm not. I get enough spam calls anyway, so I know already how to ignore them.
Aaron is running first state assembly.
That's why I said he's gonna start giving out his cell phone.
I'm not worried about it.
He's challenging Brian Cunningham in the.
So far, Brian is challenging me. Yeah.
So you have a vendor license?
Yeah. My wife has a vendor license and she's woman-owned business also, so you know, you can, if you need that.
Okay, I'm sending it.
Could we also put down as a possible venue the Jewish Children's Museum?
Yeah.
Sure they have
Yeah.
Yeah, they have
parking space that can fit.
no, they also
Yeah, upstairs, upstairs.
Yeah,
With elevators, with access, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, that would be
they have
nice.
quite a nice large room.
Yeah, they've had.
Because that,
and I believe they're also registered vendor.
Okay.
Most likely there.
Not there.
Anyone have any
Because they
other?
got money
Yeah,
from
we have the
Brian.
police there.
If they didn't
Yeah,
get
they
money
registered
from,
them.
if they got money from Brian, they had to be registered.
Mendy's is also a vendor.
Well, they're downstairs.
Yeah, Mendy's restaurant downstairs from the.
But you don't have enough room to put people over there.
No, they can provide food.
Yeah.
They provide it
The
for.
museum will take care of that if they do
Okay.
by the museum.
Or just
They'll
another
let
option.
them know.
Yeah.
Huh?
We've got food.
Okay, let's
Yeah.
move forward.
Okay, so we only have 5 minutes left, but is Lottie still here?
No, it's not.
Okay. So did she ever have a chance, because her husband brought up this issue last time of wanting to expand their houses. Did you guys ever have a chance to talk to that, about that with your neighbors?
Well, if you have that in town hall, you can have a nice amount of people come.
Okay.
This is the zoning issue in our neighborhood has been a problem for a very long time. We have 11 stories, and then we have a house that has 2 stories that can't go up one more for children or grandparents or old elderly.
So let me ask you a question. I think it's a good idea to be able to have the ability to expand the houses, and like you said, your houses don't actually have correct zoning. If you were moved up to a correct zone, you could then take advantage of some of the bonuses in the city of Yes to expand the homes.
Forget about the city of Yes, even regular zoning.
Is that gonna be enough, do you think, to accommodate the growth of the community over the next 10 years?
If you do R6,
If every
I think
house, like let's say
I
if
think
every
it's a
house.
beginning, they have, that everyone's
Yeah.
stuck. They have older children, they don't have where to go. The zoning is also very unusual. Montgomery and Schenectady, it's a zone 6,
R7.
R7, yeah. But on Crown and Carroll,
Right.
the whole neighborhood is
That's why I'm
different
saying
zones.
everything is screwed up,
Yeah,
right?
exactly,
Everything,
my word,
basically
exactly,
everything is
nicely put.
by the way,
But let's just say that we were to normalize everything,
Oh, it's
right?
if you take the entire, let's say, from Northern Eastern Parkway, I'm spreading it out, okay? Northern Eastern Parkway, all the way to
I see.
whatever, Utica,
Yeah.
all the way down to Empire, that entire zone
Empire.
still has R2, R4.
There you
Okay,
go.
R2, right now the buildings, the houses that are currently there in R2 is overbuilt,
Right.
according to the zone.
Right.
The only reason why they did R2 is on President Street. You wanna leave President Street, there's a problem also because President only has houses across, so it's technically 2 different blocks. And that's why they have the R2. So,
Why the President's?
They have detached houses, they have some
Not
very big.
yeah,
It depends,
President
between
Street,
Kingston
Only 2 blocks.
and
of
only
that.
2 blocks.
Yeah.
If you're going in the other direction from President to Utica, then they don't
So
have those
the
houses,
other
those
reason,
detached houses.
the other reason that I was told that this area asked for an R2 years ago is that R2 is the only single family
Yeah.
district.
they wanna keep it single family.
The zone that matches the way your houses are built is R5, but that's a multiple dwelling district.
Right.
So if that's okay, you can go to R5, no problem.
But then you might get
What?
think about it.
But then some people
You're
are
gonna,
gonna.
but if you get R5, you're only gonna go up to R5 has a lower density. If you go R6, let's say, you're not gonna get more than 7,500 feet.
No, but then,
75 feet.
but then we're
Height.
getting small apartment buildings
Right.
throughout our residential.
So it's
Not
R6. R5, nobody's gonna go apartment building.
That's what I'm saying, so we have to think of how high we
R5,
want it, that we still want it to be a residential feel, but then we still want grandparents to come, elderly parents
I
to
think
be
the
able to
places-
move in with us. And children that can't afford to buy in this community, they could move in with us and have one floor with their family, you know what I'm
So
saying?
what you wanna
With
think
no place to
about
move.
is, let's say all of the houses were able to add one floor or, expand to the back by, an extra room. Is that going to be enough to accommodate the population growth over the next 10 years?
I think like this. If it's everywhere where we have R2, R4, it changes to R5. And everywhere we have R5, which we have a lot of R5 too. Wherever we have R5 changes to R6. I think that is a perfect mix.
I think we have to analyze the streets.
I know the streets very well. This is my industry. I know exactly like the.
So who's on R5 right now?
R5 is President and
President is our
Crown. No, President and Crown. is
President
R5.
and what? How could be President Crown?
Sorry, not Crown,
Perpendicular.
sorry. President and Open.
Guys, just to jump in quickly, I'm excited by this conversation, but we have a few other agenda items and we're getting to time.
So what else?
I don't know if that's in between Albany and
Do
Troy.
we have?
And what are you are R5? What are you? R4?
I think you're R2.
Two, I think I'm an R2.
Do we wanna talk about 1550 Bedford, do we wanna adjourn?
Oh, yes, that's.
Do we have any, do we have any members of the, do we
Sorry.
have any members of the?
I'm sorry, but the only reason why, I know you're in he's in a rush, but the only reason why I felt it was necessary to talk about this now, I'm sorry,
Yeah, no, it's,
was only because if she wants a town meeting with more than 50 people, this is a contentious issue and people will come. And they'll bring up ideas and this and that, so just know this is gonna be spoken
Yeah.
about, yeah.
And they're
So
all
don't-
here.
No one wants to be blindsided when, make a town hall and then, oh, we didn't know this question, what do you mean? There's
And
50
they're
people
here.
here coming for this.
They're here.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so I
Okay, but we
think,
can move
there's still, a lot
that's
of
not
streets have been built out already, like I was just looking at Lefferts, that's been almost completely built out. Empire, there's still a couple of lots, right? There was a section when Jake was chair, do you remember Jake Goldstein?
Yeah.
When he was chair, he rezoned that supermarket. I don't know, what necessarily was the reasoning behind that or whatever, nothing's happened yet.
Right,
There's a couple spots like
that's what I'm
that,
saying, it's like
right?
very random,
There's
it's not.
there's Albany Avenue, right, that's kind of being built out. So Kingston is one of those that I think is like R4
Yeah,
now,
Kingston,
maybe,
you can't go
and
really high with Kingston.
so it's something to
There's
talk
a lot
about.
of landmark.
Yeah,
If
landmark.
they upzone, that's what she's saying,
Yeah,
it's
no,
the
so-
old
So
zone.
So I
So
think
it's
what I
something
heard here,
that's-
you guys want to move this along.
Yeah.
I think you guys want to set up a town hall and everybody come in and discuss it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So why don't you just,
That's what she's saying that she's making a town hall, so I told her, if you're gonna make a town hall, just know this is gonna be this coming
Yeah.
discussion.
that's right, I'm just trying to move
So
this
something
along.
for you to
Yeah.
talk
Yeah.
But I think that's the way it should go.
It's something for you to talk about, whether you wanna see redevelopment, right? Because Kingston is it's kind of low, but it's a nice commercial
Right.
area, and redevelopment means that
Right.
the stores are gonna have to close first to build it
No,
out.
I don't think we wanna also lose the integrity of the neighborhood.
There's clearly talking about why.
Yeah, Crown is always R5.
What?
So the question is how much, do you need?
For sure, for sure.
President
I would
is
love to have
R1.
a commercial application.
R2 starts from Kingston, it goes all the way to New York Avenue.
From Kingston to New York.
Yeah, from president, half of president, basically half of president all the way down to Crown.
We didn't pick a date in June yet, let's pick a date in June.
You're losing the crowd here, why don't you just do the
Can we
last
pick
thing
a
on the
date in
agenda?
June?
She's very into
Let's just look at
this.
yours.
Sorry.
Because it's April already, let's pick a June date, we can do this. Not June 1st, or not,
What is the fair usually?
When is school?
It's already scheduled.
when is it?
This is in June.
June 6th. So are we trying to be before or after that?
Before.
Before.
It's
June?
impossible. Well, I guess June
School is this
3rd.
Friday, Shabbos.
Is it what?
6, 7?
It's on a Friday and a Shabbos this year.
Okay, so we're doing this on
It's
a,
not
we're doing this on a
June, it's
weekday.
May.
Schools is May.
We're doing this on a weekday anyway, so I would
End of
suggest,
May?
I would suggest either the 1st or the
21st and
2nd.
22nd.
May 22nd.
Okay, so we could do June.
June.
Do we wanna say the first week of June?
Yeah, because then we, well,
Yeah, no, they can't do Game of Thrones. So what is Game of
The fair is
Thrones?
the first week of June, that's a lot.
Game of Thomas is June 18th.
June 18th is out.
Okay,
You want to
So
It's
how
in the
about-
beginning of June.
how about
June
June,
18th or
so how about June 3rd or 4th?
Yeah,
Where's
June
your
3rd or
first?
4th.
okay, let's say.
So that week, between the 1st and the 4th.
It's Vitra 7 or Vitra
What about June 2nd?
When is the kid, when is it going up to camp?
No, that's later.
No, wait, June, it's till June 19th.
Okay, so I'll ask Dante about those dates as well, and I'm still waiting for him to get back to me.
So June 3rd or
on the
4th.
May date. Okay.
They might be weddings.
Okay, everybody, so 1550 Bedford, are there any members of the public here who wanna give additional comments on it?
I think we should demand some parking from that building.
Yeah, I was just gonna
Well,
say
we
that.
gotta demand more than parking from that site. That's another
200 and
toxic
something
site.
Oh, okay, so one more
How
thing,
much floors?
So,
What was when they were.
18 floors?
Was that when they,
200
was that the presentation that they made all the guys? Oh, Zlati asked if they could find out if there's gonna be any senior housing.
They'll come back once they start the process.
No.
No,
Oh, man.
Don't look so shocked.
They gotta come out with parking right there.
We need a lot of assisted
Yeah,
living.
definitely.
Maybe if they would do assisted living. We have a lot of older
17
people.
floors?
What?
17 floors?
I think they have the lower floors, the older people.
Oh,
Thirty
they're still
Oh,
got
oh,
some
I see.
building that
Yeah,
high.
they're not getting 17 floors. I mean, that's. What?
18 is a very good number.
18's a good number, right? You understand, see?
Let's do 18 feet.
Let's do 18 now.
Sorry, where are we on the agenda?
Okay, where are we on the agenda?
Where are we on the
That's
agenda?
right,
It should be the last one.
Yeah.
Mia?
Yeah.
It should be the last one, 1550.
everybody, this is just something I wanna show
You guys gotta
you.
get it right.
This is a tool that I found, called like Shadow Map. It's an online tool,
Silly guys
and
use it.
there's a really,
Yeah.
there's a free option that lets you do very basic things. So I was able to like construct like a building that you know, you can say how tall you want it to be, how wide, how deep. So I did something with the setback and 30 feet and the height of the building and the approximate dimensions. And you can change the date and the time. The free version only lets you do it like for one particular time. If you want to do it throughout the year, you have to pay. And it's not actually that much, you know, maybe we can ask Dante to pay $8 a month or something like that, so we can have this whole
Maybe we
thing.
could put on the budget.
But basically you can see that at this height, the building is casting a shadow onto the Eastern Parkway Mall. So, I mean, this is, you know, people come out, I see a lot of elderly people, they come out, they sit, people come out with their strollers, walk their children. You know, on a day like today, you wanna come out and enjoy the sunshine, and so you wouldn't wanna have like everything in shadow, right? And
Yellow is just, that's the only place that's getting sun.
Yeah.
That's just the angle
that's
of
the
the
angle
sun.
of the sun.
For at that time of day, the sun will go
No, I
like
think
this.
it's
And this is also, this is a very important.
No, the one.
You can come closer if you wanna
Zoom
see
in,
it.
zoom in.
Yeah, what, zoom in, where's the shadow, all the dark?
The
No, no.
dark, right,
That.
it's, you have to come closer to see.
So do that. Just do it.
Oh, those 3 dots are shadows? I saw the 3 dots.
It also,
Go to image.
Throughout the day.
No, the images. You had
This
the
is not the
images.
point of the discussion.
You have it over there. The last tab. The last thing. Yeah, that's one. Yeah, just click on that.
Walter, you're in at all?
He actually called me today, I have called him back.
Yeah, click on that. Yes. And just use your two fingers. Look, use your two fingers, but like this. Open up, like you would do on your phone. Put it in the center. Put the arrow in the center.
Yeah.
Where you want to zoom in, and there you go.
Yeah, exactly. So now can you see the shadow a little bit?
The shadow is all
It's the
those.
gray part. It's this
So those are all
gray.
different
See,
times of
this
day.
is the center of this is the Eastern Parkway walls, and this is the shadow.
That's just that's just probably new. I mean, the shadow's gonna go like this. If the sun rises, it's gonna go like all the way back to the.
I mean, it's for sure gonna shadow the Eastern Parkway.
But this is
What time of the day
I
is
don't know,
this? It's
if
12 o'clock.
it's lower, there's no
That's a
shadow.
problem. 12 o'clock, there's no shadow.
There is.
Even at 12? Yeah.
But see
Mia was
how
asking
low.
how long. Mia's ready to
Oh,
go.
we have to go.
Yeah, okay.
So, does anybody else have any
It
further
depends on the time
thoughts
of the
about
year.
1350 beds?
Just
Yeah, this is a
I'm
garden.
telling you that we need to go back to the one subsistence living there, that's it, I mean.
I think that's close.
Okay, so another thing I have to tell you guys about shadows.
And what about
Buildings
the
don't
top?
cast shadows on what's directly to the south of them. So the north side of Eastern Parkway is actually in a quite different position than the south side, because the north side, buildings on the north side of the parkway do not cast shadows on the parkway. Buildings on the south side do. So ours is
It's
particularly
called southern
sensitive.
exposure. The buildings on that side get all the sun all day long. These buildings on this side get much less sun because of how the sun goes. You know, the sun is
I
like
also
this.
shovel snow all day long.
You know, when the sun gets higher in the summer, that always
There has to be some version of tons of parking, because if this amount of people are coming in, I know
Very,
everyone
very
wants
little
everybody being on bikes.
That's not happening.
There's no parking.
I told them that.
We all know,
So
we all know that you
the
have to be cars.
higher the zoning density, the lower the parking requirement. So for example, in an R6 district, we still have a 25% parking requirement. It's down from 50, but we fought to hold on to something, so now we have 25. R7 is 15, R8 is 12, and R9 is, I think, also 12.
No, we told them very clearly that they need the parking.
So the thing is, like I said, if you approve an R9, they only have to do 12%, right?
Is there a way to create?
You can approve a bigger building without changing the zone.
Well, yeah, okay, that really depends, that depends on whether the council person is willing to negotiate for you and put that into like a deed restriction against the land, right? Because the thing is that,
If the
if
developer
it's
agrees to
not,
this deed restriction,
they would have to agree to a deed
then
restriction.
the city council member has no reason to oppose it.
There's
Yes.
already a
But you're suggesting the other way around,
No,
to allow for an amendment of the
no.
lower zoning.
Don't allow, this particular
It's already
project, don't allow a higher zoning.
Allow.
What zoning is that now?
Hey guys, I
So
think
it's
Mia's
now
trying to get
CA2.
home and we're keeping her a little bit late.
Now it's CA2.
So it might be good for Mia first to
They
adjourn,
wanna
so Mia can
change
get
the
home.
zoning
I think, if I may.
Can we-
They wanna change the
I would have a motion to
Second.
adjourn, we have a second about motion to adjourning,
Second the poll.
for people. I'm not trying to be rude, we just have Mia who works really hard and needs to get home.
Uh-huh.
Well, I'm being,
Okay, alright, thanks guys. Enjoy this lovely summer evening.
Bye.